Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show, where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs. It's your host back again, Stephen Schmidt, and I've got a real treat for you guys today. If you're joining us for the second, third, or 100th time, welcome back. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. You're going to probably find this on your regular docket when it comes to your podcast listening, because I got a ton of value that we're going to be bringing to you today with the mind of Adrian Gonzalez in the studio. So please welcome him, even though he's not going to hear your claps, because obviously we did this and then you're hearing it 30 days from now. But either way, we're going to pretend that we're a live podcast right now. So let him hear some noise. You know what I'm saying? Just remember, before we get started, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate entrepreneurs, service providers, and real estate professionals 2 to 5x their businesses, which allows them to build the businesses they've always wanted, to allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. And as I've got Adrian here in the studio today, we're going to be talking about fusing entrepreneurship and leadership and how that applies to you and what he's got going on in this space. So with that being said, Adrian, welcome to the show today, brother.
Awesome to be here. Thank you for having me, Stephen.
Man, super glad to have you here. So before we kind of get into today's topic, you've got a long background in tech. I didn't say it in your intro, but you've been able to really almost build the American dream, I would say, what most people's idea of it is now today, of being a very successful professional, but also buying real estate on the side and then expanding upon that knowledge that you started with. So before we kind of get into all that, can you just share a little bit about yourself, Adrian, and how you got here?
Absolutely, Stephen. So my background, like you said, is it all began in technology. I went to college to study computer engineering, which is a little bit more of a bullet fusion between hardware and computer science and software. And then just like life, right? I figured out what worked for me, what didn't work for me, what was I good at, what did I enjoy, and landed on becoming a software engineer in technology. This, of course, set me on a path of being pretty well positioned to grow in my career, make good money. The key thing with that is I was always very intentional of living below my means. So as I progressed from my first second year year in my career, I realized that I was starting to save up substantial amount of money, and putting things in the stock market stopped being interesting for me. And around this time, I was out in California, and I said, wait a second, I'm looking around and I see all of these pretty, beaten down homes selling for $1 million, $1.25 million, it was per square footage, and upwards of, $300+ And I said, well, back home where my parents currently live and have lived in Georgia, we could get something sub $100, and that'd be really good homes. So all of that kind of led me to say, can I balance my career, set out to start buying my first home with the intention of experimenting with the notion of starting to become a landlord. And I did a thing that I learned about called house hacking. And the rest, you and I can talk a little more about it. We can unpack it. But now I'm really proud of myself to say that I've acquired and self-managed 8 properties while still being able to hold a career in tech. And that requires a lot of frameworks and mechanisms to be able to still balance all of those responsibilities.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
100%. I mean, working full time and then also building the portfolio that you've built while not necessarily being thousands of doors yet, right? It still takes a lot to manage, especially if your strategy is buy and hold. So let me ask you, why is it that you decided to pursue more buy and hold and being a landlord versus just doing a few deals here and there, trying to get a big check and get out? What about the buy and hold made you excited to do it?
Phenomenal question. It all stems to why did you begin to to venture into real estate? And for me, 8 years ago, it wasn't to replace my full-time job. It was actually to be able to augment the potential of building wealth. Because in my
Mm,
full-time job, I was already making some pretty good quote unquote cash flow, money in the pocket.
right.
But what I realized is, wait a second, a lot of that money just gets eaten up by taxes, or it, isn't growing as much. And if I lose my job, there's that. I got to start over. And so what I found in real estate is being able to just, not necessarily sprint to the finish line. I didn't want to get to, 20 doors, 100 doors. That wasn't ever my goal. I kind of said, I'm going to take it step by step. I'll buy one, then buy two and three, and kind of see where things go. By doing so, you not only get advantages of the tax benefits, not only do you still get advantage of appreciation, but any money on the side in terms of that cash flow helps you be able to acquire the next property. And right now, I am thinking about what's next. At eight properties. The next thing that I'm thinking about is how do we tap into commercial. And I do have a business partner over the course of the years that I've been doing business with in their last two properties. And so now I'm at that point where after crawling with just one home, figuring it out, starting to walk and doing multiple, I'm ready to run. And that's the part where now I'm ready to scale out. But I decided to take my time through it.
100%. Now, let me ask you this. That's a big jump going from single family, maybe some smaller multifamilies. Do you own apartments right now? Any multifamily? Or are you going straight from single family homes straight to commercial?
We're gonna likely go into a apartment complex, minimum 10 unit plus. Right now, what I own is a duplex, and that's the closest thing to a non-single family. But I think the reason that that we're well positioned to succeed in commercial is my business partner has experience in the commercial space. We've got connections and relationships there. What I bring to the table is that rigor that I had to build to operate my own business in terms of learning how to market, how to do renter screening, renter onboarding, maintenance requests, renter offboarding. And of course, once you get to an apartment complex, you don't want to do all of that. But once you hire a property manager, I've always found it very important to understand what you're hiring for. And the experience I've been able to build up in these last 8 years are going to be able to allow us to be able to find that property management firm that's going to help us continue growing.
Yeah, 100%. That's good info because anytime somebody say, it's like real estate, right? Like there's so much that goes into real estate that somebody could say multifamily and they mean one thing, and someone could say multifamily means something completely different. So when you say commercial real estate, that could all the way be to a $10 million industrial complex to, a 10-door unit property. So I'm glad we clarified on that for anybody listening that might be like, man, how do I do that? How do I go into big buildings? Doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means the size and how many units you got to get before it's classified that way. So Adrian, tell me this, one of the things that I'm picking out of our conversation from the things that you've said, and one of the things I like to personally say, which I'm sure I stole from someone at some point along my self-education journey, is you don't ever end up actually achieving your dreams and rising to the level of your dreams and goals. You actually fall to the levels of your habits and systems. And so With that being said, you sound very systematized and you sound like you've had processes that you've put in place, SOPs maybe even, to be able to actually manage having a full-time job in tech.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Manage all the people that you do for that job, but then also your portfolio. So tell me a little bit about how important systems have been to your success over the last 8 years.
Immensely. Without being able to step back from just executing to be able to look at the landscape of exactly what you mentioned. What are the operations I'm doing? What are the systems that I'm doing? Who are the individuals involved in all of this? If you just simply focus on executing, you're never going to be able to scale that out. And
Mm,
so I'll give some examples because I didn't know I was going to have to do this. But once I got two properties for me to go from two to three and then so on to eight, I had to master being able to replicate everything I'm doing consistently and just rinse and repeat. And so, for example, the very first thing I realized I learned probably after home number three was the way I market homes has to be fully efficient. As in, the moment I buy that house and it's fully empty, that is the perfect time to make sure that you're able to capture the pictures, capture a video, and be able to upload that. In this case, I use Google Drive so that anytime I talk to renters that are looking for a place to rent, I already have a description of the home saved somewhere that I can just simply either copy or paste or send them that link to, as well as other marketing material. And
mm,
what I do is, I take those long video tours and I break them down into also 1 minute sections. And the reason I do that is platforms like Facebook Marketplace, which I almost exclusively use for my rentals. You're allowed to actually upload an ad or a post of your property. And in addition to images, you can include a 1 minute video. And there's nothing more that's going to differentiate you in this market than a renter being able to look and say, oh, I can see the entire house in this
mm,
1 minute video. And of course, that requires a little bit of editing, which I also had to learn how to do. But that's one example. The same thing I can talk about renter screening and having to create templates for lease agreements, some for co-signers, others for not co-signers. How to be able to do things like renter onboarding when it comes to whether you have the renter create their own utilities accounts or whether, like me, I use my own utilities, but I bill them, I charge my renters the portion. And so I have a place in Google Drive where I systematically, the moment a renter comes in, they get access to the utilities. They get access to the Google Home Nest account. They get access to a suite of calendar invites that tells them when the renewal decision is due, when they have to move out by. And so everything is so systematic, and that allows me to be able to just not worry about one-offs, and it's all just follow the process and be able to continue scaling that out.
mm. Now, it sounds like you're talking about a lot of stuff here. How do you keep your operational costs low when you've got so much work in there?
Surprisingly, if I look at my operational costs, they're pretty already near zero. I've always strided to say the things I want to charge for are the things that I just frankly never want to do. And there are certain things that I don't mind doing. And so all of my marketing, for example, it's free. It's right out of Facebook Marketplace. I don't have a formal PM property manager that's doing the tours and the showings. So I kind of schedule all of that around my day to day with my renters. Typically, I tell them like, hey, I can only do after 5 p.m. or I can do weekends. Um, and so off of that, I'm saving a ton on my profit margins by not having to hire that out. But what
Mm,
I've come to realize is certain things, like after probably home number three, between one and three, I was mowing all the lawns too. Like I was really, when I started this business of mine, I said every penny counts. I needed to save money so I can buy home number two, home number three. But after number three, I said, I can't keep mowing all these lawns. So something like saying, you know what, at 50 or $60 a month, whatever it may be, hiring someone to do that is 100% worth the time to allow me to continue scaling. And the same thing can be said in terms of my contractors. If something goes wrong on one of my properties, if it's not urgent, if it's not critical, my renter can still, be comfortable. I'm going to try my best to be able to schedule that in my day to day for me to fix it, saving me hundreds of dollars in repair fees.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
But if it's something critical, like literally just 2 days ago, I had an HVAC. My renter said, "Hey, I got water coming through my bathroom exhaust, my bathroom fan." And I had told her, like, go ahead and please just turn off the HVAC. It's more than likely either that or we've got a leak in the roof. And yeah, it turned out she sent me some pictures. It was definitely the HVAC leaking to the condenser pump. And I said, there's just no way I got time for this. So those are the moments where I have a team of contractors that give me a pretty good price, given that they know that they basically can always work on my properties. And we send someone out there to make sure it gets taken care of quickly.
Mm. Now, what happens when something happens at 11:30 at night? You got a pipe bust and toilets going haywire. Then what? Are you handling that yourself too?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that. That is always every single early real estate investor slash landlord's nightmare, right? Um, I do handle those, but you'd be amazed that I've only probably had a couple of those situations happen. And the reason for that is I take care of the homes almost as if I lived in them. So I
Mm.
do very rigorous due diligence anytime I buy a home to make sure that all of the piping looks good, all the appliances are well installed. A lot of times I'll redo a lot of the piping myself just to make sure that I feel that it's, that's well done and that it wasn't done by a flipper. And so really the only times I've had something at 11 p.m. that, requires my immediate attention are things like that HVAC, in this case of flooding or something like that. But running toilets, that's not a big issue. And so I typically don't have a lot of those situations come up, but we'll see as I continue growing, that continues being a hassle. Then absolutely, that's the time to get a property manager to give you that sanity and that peace of mind that you can sleep well at night. 'Cause at the end of the day, that's why we're doing this, right? We want to buy back that
Right.
time. And but I've always been of a belief that I got to grind it out while I'm young, and then after that, I'll be able to take advantage of the dividends.
Sure. And so at what point, what rank do you have to hit, level, whatever you want to put on it, before you'll be comfortable with doing that?
I think we're there now.
Mm.
I think the last two homes, you ask some of my friends and my connections, the last two homes I've said, I'm not the last one. I think I've hit the scale that I can do to operate myself. But then, I go in and buy another one. I find a great deal. I'm like, I got to buy it. It's a no-brainer. It's in a perfect neighborhood, close to a good university. I can rent out to college students, and I buy another one. But now at eight, there's no doubt in my mind I've hit that scale. So right now, what I'm in the motions of doing this year is finding a property manager that can do pieces of what I no longer want to do. And there are certain things that I really do prioritize that I want to be involved in. Things like actually vetting out my renters and being able to make those decisions are really important to me. But anything that has to do with maintenance requests, doing showings, those are the immediate areas I'm going to be looking forward for someone to be able to come in and support.
Yeah, totally. And so when do you think you'll end up making decisions on that before you close on your next big deal, or are you like using that as the next step of the process so you can kind of free up more of your time to start looking to do more acquisitions?
I think the time is now. I've started really being intentional of no longer looking for another property until I do find a good property manager to save me the time to now start being able to look for the next
Mm.
bigger, larger deal. And then there's also some time that I need to look into to start finding investors. The first six homes I did all by myself, just out of pocket do typical 30-year convention loan, and then I started seeing interest rates go up. I found a business partner. We were able to buy a couple of properties by putting 50% down and really make it work for us. But I think after, kind of moving forward, what we're looking at, we absolutely need to start investing time, not necessarily maintaining the properties we have now, not necessarily buying other ones, but we really want to start getting out there and starting to build relationships and hopefully find a pool of investors that want to go in and buy a larger complex with us.
Okay. Almost like syndicating.
Very potentially, very likely a syndicate.
Okay, cool, man. So let me ask you this. If you were to give advice to anybody that's getting started in buy and hold, what would you tell them to
Mm,
do?
that's a great question. So there's two ways of getting into doing something new as an entrepreneur, right? Like there's the infamous you just dive right into the deep end, you either drown and you're done, or you end up learning how to swim. But then there's my way of doing it. And I think my way works for individuals that are not afraid to still do it when there's uncertainty or when they realize there's a lot of work. They just dive into the deep end, works really well for individuals that just simply they're like, you know what, I just gotta do it, or this is never gonna happen. My personality was always I like to be intentional. I like to have some awareness of what I know, what I don't know, and then make an intentional decision to go in. So my advice for people interested in doing what I did is first and foremost, do your homework. Learn from what others have done, specifically others that have long-lasting success in this space. For me, the very first two people that I started really listening to, one was Graham Stephan, and then the other one was Dave Ramsey. And they kind of just taught me the foundations of what it looks like to be financially ready to not necessarily just buy a home, but invest in a home with the intention of making it into a rental and moving forward to other properties. But also, exactly what makes a good investment. It's not always just about the cash flow. There's a lot of other things that go into that. But once you have that awareness, if you haven't bought a home yet, like I never bought a home before I started doing this, getting awareness of what the home buying process looks like. What are the things that you really got to keep a lookout for? What are the things where you got to go in with maybe a team, whether it be a realtor, an inspector, et cetera, et cetera. The more you're aware of that process, the better you're going to be able to start getting into this line of work. And I think the other really important thing that helped me a lot was really being intentional of saying, like, if you're actually going to do this and start becoming a landlord, you got to understand the legal ramifications of that and really shield yourself, understand when do I need to create an LLC, understand how to make sure the property is to code so that if anything happens, you're not liable for it. So there's just so much, right? And every dimension of that, I had to take time to really feel comfortable enough to then be able to take that leap of faith. So, um, and then I think the last piece of this dimension is tax benefits and preparation. Sure, right? You can always hire someone to do your taxes. And that's actually the first thing I did when I bought my first home. I hired an accountant. I looked at all the forms they did and I said, you know what? I can do this. I have all the documentation I just gave the individual. It's the same forms that they're using. I understand all the way of doing itemizations and deductions for repairs and renovations. So it's just the more you know, the better. Before you delegate, I really encourage people to learn as much as you can, and I think it's going to position you well to then after that be able to continue scaling.
100%. Now, if you had to go back to the beginning, knowing what you know now, what would you do different and what would you do the same?
It's interesting, right? Because I'm about to contradict myself, I think. The one thing I would do different would be to probably trust myself after the second home when I bought my first one and I house hacked it, which meant I started getting renters while I lived in it. And then I bought the second one. I moved out, moved into that one because if you're a primary resident of the home you're buying, you're going to get a much better interest rate. And so I did that for I think the first three, four homes. I actually moved into a home, I rented it out, moved out, made the other one a full rental, rinse and repeat. And so I would actually repeat that. If you're at a point in your life where you can do that, and I tell this to all my renters that are early in their 20s, some of them, 19, like that is a very viable way to get into home ownership, house hacking. So that's the one piece I would absolutely repeat the same way again. But the thing I would do different is to not shy at, once I do maybe the first two, to just really pedal to the metal. There were moments when I bought between the time I bought home three and four. I think I came across two or three properties and I had the finances to be able to buy. And I said, no, 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 I'm just going to focus on doing one a year. I want to be cautious. And that, in that time, that's when we were seeing deals at like interest rates, 30-year conventional for like 2.3, 2.5, even at the threes. And I was like, man, like, I mean, I obviously was fortunate that I timed getting into this business when I did, because I got many homes underneath the 4% interest rate. But boy, could I have gotten three, four more without an issue.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what were you doing to find these deals? I think the hardest part in real estate as an investor, in my opinion, from what I've witnessed, is finding the deals and hiring contractors. That seems to be the two hardest things to do, unless you're trying to get financing with really bad credit and no experience. That's kind of hard to do too, but not impossible. But how do you find your deals? Are you finding these on the market? Are you finding? Do you have a wholesaler that's sending them to you, fix and flipper that you work with? Like, what does your process look like?
So, great question. I'm really vanilla on my process, honestly. So when I first got into this, the very first thing I said is I have to make a decision. What's my market going to be? Is it Section 8 housing? Is it, homes really close to a university, really close to a university? Is it going to be homes close to, metro Atlanta area in the city where, you've got full-time early working professionals, working there? And the first decision I made was I wanted to buy homes in really good school districts such that I could get the best of all the worlds. I wanted something that, if I wanted, was close to a university that I could rent to students. I wanted something that, in the future, if I wanted to sell, a family would want to buy like that. And so once I knew that and I became familiar with my area, I basically set out I would say a 15 to 20 mile radius of where I really wanted to focus in on. And I just made my criteria. I knew that I wanted at least a three-bedroom, at least a two-bathroom. I needed it back then at a certain, price below the median at going price, because that's usually what I like to buy. I like to buy homes below the median, based in the area you're buying. Um, and then, after I kind of did all the lists of all my hard requirements, it's just a matter of being able to move very quickly. So it took me a little bit of time to make this to get this really smooth, but at the very first two homes, yes, I just focused on a realtor, got pre-approved, went through the whole motions, found a home, put in an offer, sometimes put in escalation clauses. Because when I started doing this, the market was absolutely insane. You'd see 20, 30 offers on a home. But that didn't deter me. And I worked with my realtor to say, hey, we gotta put an escalation clause, and I'll run the numbers. I'll know what's the maximum I can put in. And that's just, where I'll put that clause at. But now where I'm at is I'll see if I see a home on my search criteria come up, within a single day, I can go out there and I can already, put in an offer. Sometimes I don't even look at the properties anymore, frankly, because I've got so much experience, doing this. But I'll put in an offer, I'll go under due diligence. Within a matter of a day or two, we've got the inspector I know very well going out there. I've already got contractors lined up if I need to get quotes for just about anything. So I'm able to come in a lot of ways, just moves quick enough where, I'm able to tell the seller, hey, like this is what we found, this is what's going to cost to make it livable. And by the way, like you're in a market right now where you're not getting 15 offers. So if I back out of this, you're probably going to be on the market for a while. So I've done pretty good, just negotiating, reading the environment, and being able to, just rely on, what comes on the Zillows of the world and other, public, sources of information.
Mm, absolutely. Now, one of the other things that you mentioned in the beginning was another passion that you've been discovering recently is mentorship and talking about what's made you successful to others so that way other people can achieve success within the real estate space as well. How important was mentorship to you when you got started? And who were some of those people that you followed early on or maybe hired even as like a business coach? Or did you not? And you've been kind of putting that off. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, to me, mentorship is means the world. For me now as a mentor, it's basically the reward I'm able to get when I talk to someone and I'm able to, just share any piece of wisdom. And that could be a homeowner that, that has, an issue with their house. And I can, through my YouTube channel, where I really am using that as a platform to share everything from finance to real estate to DIY do it yourself projects. just being able to interact with people and helping them be the best that they can be is something that to me it's invaluable. I can't put a price on it, right? I mean, I can
Mm,
continue being incredibly successful in the stock market and in real estate in my career, and I feel great doing that. I feel rewarded, but every time I've had a chance to get someone say, "Hey, you know what? Thanks to you, I was able to buy my first home." All I
mm,
need is one person to say that. It's made my entire day. And thankfully, I think my one of my renters was one of the first renter I've had just about a month ago. She bought her first home. She was living in my duplex for I think the last 3 years, and was living in there even in the previous owner. And I came in, and she told me, "Hey, Adrian, like I don't know how long I'll be here. I might be here just a year, 2 years, but my goal is to buy a house." And immediately, I kind of just said, "Just let me know when you're ready. Like I want you to buy a house. I don't want you to rent for me forever." So really, I get joy from just seeing people accomplish their dreams. So.
mm.
Um, yeah, to me, being able to invest time in YouTube and just show everything that's helped me get to where I'm at. It may not apply for everyone, and that's okay. But if one individual finds it and it helps them out, I know that I'm having impact outside of just in my own circle.
Yeah, 100%. Who mentors you now? Like, who do you turn to look for help now?
That's a great question. My entire career, if there was one regret, is that I was never intentional reaching for mentors. I was never intentional for finding coaches.
Mm,
Um, but I was always hungry for learning from others. Um,
mm.
but I'm starting to want to change that because you can only get so far by doing what I've done, and I've gotten pretty damn far. Sorry for cussing. It's after
100%.
five
No,
somewhere,
you're
but.
good.
um, but yeah, you can only get so far without really having someone to partner up with and lean on heavily. So right now, what I'd be looking to do is find someone in precisely in real estate that's doing 10
Mm,
times the size that I'm doing. And if I have any opportunity to go underneath their wing, I would take that in a heartbeat. And
yeah.
when I have someone now, like, this isn't real estate related, but it happened about a month ago. Right now in the tech sector, it's a very difficult time. And AI has disrupted every single aspect of our industry, and so many people coming out of college, no matter if they're very, very good college institutions, high caliber, folks are struggling to find jobs. And so this individual reached out to me over LinkedIn, went to the same school I went to, Georgia Tech, and said, "Hey, I'm graduating. If you've got 10 minutes, I'd just love to pick your brain because you're working with this really successful company." And 5 years ago, I said, "No, I don't have the time. I'm too busy. I got other things that can make me money." But now, in a heartbeat, I said, "Absolutely." So we talked, gave him some advice, and I said, "You know what? Like, this kid's doing it right. I never would have had that courage when I was his age to do this. So I know he's going to be successful, and I hope that he is." But yeah, definitely encourage people to not shy from it. Like, use the platforms we've got, whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever. Just reach out. You never know who's actually going to say, "Yeah, let's talk a little bit."
Right. Or even, shameless plug, but that's why places like Investor Fuel exist, right? Because it's a community of entrepreneurs that are further ahead than others that are all working together to ultimately level everybody up. So even joining a mastermind, as long as it's a vetted one and it's going to actually get you the things that you need, that's also something people should really highly consider. I've spent personally tens of thousands of dollars of my own money on various masterminds over the last 4 or 5 years, and I can tell you that even from my perspective, having mentors and having people further ahead than me has never let me down.
You have to invest in yourself. That's such a great point. And even things like just recently, Dave Ramsey was in Atlanta here at the Fox Theater, and with no brainer, I said, I'm going to go and I'm going to see if I can just get, even if I can ask the man just one question
Mm.
backstage, it'd be worth any price of admission. And so, yeah, you got to invest in yourself.
Did you do it?
Masterminds, conference, absolutely.
What'd you
That
ask
was the
him?
well for him. I asked him precisely where I'm at right now. I was very open. I told him, "Dave, tech career for 10 years, real estate for 8 years, own and self-manage eight properties, passion for educating people on just life and journey, but focused on real estate finance." And I asked him, "How did you do it, Dave? How did you go from real estate to then, creating an entire institution the way you do? Like, what advice would you give someone like me?" And I caught him off guard, I think, because he was with Dr. John Delaney, and Dave was like, "That's a really good question." So he had to kind of wait a little bit, and John came in and said really good. He gave me such great advice. He was like, "Listen, your number one thing, you got two things you got to think about. Number one, you got to be authentic. Never change who you are." And actually, I think that resonates so well because like a lot of people wanting to go viral, like they'll just do whatever and they'll not be themselves. I have no interest in that. But yeah, being authentic, delivering, true messages that you believe in. And then Dave came in and basically, reiterated that and said, he reminded me that be careful when you're educating people because the moment you're sharing advice and someone else is listening to the advice, if you're not 100% sure on what you're telling them to do, and it doesn't turn out to be the right advice for them to take on, you're negatively impacting someone's life. And that hit me home pretty well, and it kind of just said, okay, this really does matter.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Adrian, what I would tell you is that if you're going to give advice,
You nailed it. That's exactly the way you did it.
I've got a pretty good tape Ramsey impression. Oh man, that's so great. I love it. Well, Adrian, thanks so much for being here, man. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day and hopping on and recording a show with us. We're excited to get this posted out. But if anyone wants to learn more about you or what you're working on, where should they go for that?
Number one source is going to be my YouTube channel, AG Squared. Funny name about that name. Not a lot of people know it, but hopefully now a lot more do. So my full legal name is Adrian Gonzalez, and I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd.
It's
That's
not.
what I am. So I said it has to be AG Squared. So check out my
Uh,
channel. And yeah, like listen, whether you're an existing homeowner, whether you're someone wanting to get into real estate, whether you're someone wanting to get out of, a financial situation, I love talking about all that. Just reach out to me. Happy to have just a one-on-one, on the YouTube call or something like that, or on Discord. But yeah, I definitely look for, thank you, Stephen, for the time here. This was a joy, and thank you so much for everything you do.
You bet, Adrian. I'm glad you shared that about the AG squared thing because I read that on your bio and I was like, oh, I wonder where he gets the squared from. That's such an amazing story. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you got as much value from it as I did, I know you did. And we will see y'all on the next episode. Thanks again, Adrian, for being here.
Thank you, Stephen. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.